Welcome back to Coin Hunt Daily, the home of jaw-dropping coin discoveries and shocking penny values hiding in plain sight. If you've ever thought that an old Lincoln Wheat penny lying in your drawer couldn't be worth more than a few cents, think again. Because today, we're counting down 5 of the rarest, most valuable Lincoln Wheat pennies ever sold, including one that fetched an unbelievable $78,000 due to a freak error you might never expect. And believe it or not, these coins weren't found in a bank vault. Some were hiding in pocket change. So stick around because your next grocery store quarter might just be your early retirement plan. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss out on the coins that could be sitting in your pocket right now. First up is a humble-looking 1956 D Lincoln Wheat penny. Now, you might be thinking, 1956? That's not even a century old? But let me stop you right there. What looks like a rusty, forgotten penny to most people might actually be a sleeping giant in the coin world. This coin, minted in Denver, is part of the last wave of the iconic Wheat Penny series before it transitioned to the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959. Millions were made, over 1.09 billion to be exact. But here's the twist. Not all of them were created equal. Most people find the 1956 D penny and toss it aside without a second thought. It's old, yes, but it's also common. Or is it? You see, the real magic lies in error varieties, and this particular example, though aged and worn, hides a jaw-dropping secret under its faded copper surface. Upon close inspection, this coin reveals a double-die obverse, a rare mint error that causes the date, lettering, and Lincoln's profile to appear ever so slightly doubled. But wait, it gets even better. There's also a repunched mint mark. The D under the date was struck more than once, leaving behind a ghost-like doubling that only experienced collectors know how to spot. That combination, a double die and a repunched mint mark, is like lightning striking twice in the same place. Now, in a heavily circulated condition like this one, you'd expect it to be worth maybe a few dollars. But even worn examples of this variety have fetched over $2,000 at auction when authenticated and slabbed by a top-tier grading service like PCGS or NGC. But let's push it further. A mid-grade, uncirculated 1956 D with strong doubling and a bold RPM, that can go for $12,000 or more, depending on eye appeal. And the record breaker? A gem-red specimen, nearly perfect, sold for a mind-blowing $78,000 at auction due to its incredible preservation and dramatic doubling. Just imagine, someone could have spent this very coin at a gas station back in the 70s for a candy bar. And now? It's a collector's dream. What makes it even more thrilling is how easy it is to miss. These errors aren't obvious at first glance. You need a magnifying glass, a little patience, and a sharp eye. Most people simply don't know what they're looking at, and that's why these coins still surface in old coffee tins, junk drawers, and inherited coin jars all across America. The key identifiers? Look closely at the "In God We Trust" motto and the date, 1956. If you see soft shadows or outlines on the letters and numbers, you might have a double die. Then check the D mint mark. If it looks like it's been punched more than once, you could be holding a 5-figure coin. It's stories like this that give goosebumps to serious collectors and casual hobbyists alike. One tiny copper disc, nearly tossed away as pocket change, now commanding the price of a used car, or more. And this is only the beginning. Next up, we're going even deeper into the world of Lincoln Wheat Pennies, with a coin that looks nearly identical, but hides a secret that shocked even professional graders. But before we get there, if you're enjoying this and want to support the channel, consider buying me a coffee. It helps me keep digging up these unbelievable stories for you. And who knows, one of them might just change your life. Ready for the next one? Next up, another 1956 D Lincoln Wheat Penny. But don't be fooled. This one tells a very different story. Right away, you notice the dark, almost black patina that covers most of its surface. It looks like it's been through a fire, or maybe spent a few winters outside buried in the mud. Most people wouldn't even pick this one up off the ground. But let me tell you something that might just give you chills. This coin is still valuable. and in some cases far more valuable than it looks. You see that deep black toning? It isn't always just dirt or damage. In some instances, especially when the color has rainbow-like hues or a certain evenness, it can actually be natural toning caused by decades of oxidation. And collectors love that, and especially when it forms in the right patterns. Now yes, in this case the condition is rough. But here's the twist. This very coin shows signs of a rare BIE error, a small vertical die crack that appears between the letters B and E in Liberty, making it look like there's an extra letter, I. It sounds small, but this minor flaw, caused by a break in the die during minting, turns an ordinary penny into a serious collector's piece. Even in bad condition, coins with the BIE error from 1956D have sold for $150 to $300, depending on how clearly the crack shows. And if the coin has multiple errors, say a die crack plus a weak strike or die chip, things start getting interesting. There's a documented 1956D wheat penny in terrible shape, with heavy toning and edge chips, that still managed to pull in $1,250 at auction because of a wild combination of mint errors, things most people would overlook as damage. And now imagine this, one example, heavily worn like the one in front of us but featuring a BIE error plus doubling on the reverse wheat stalks, was authenticated and auctioned for nearly $6,000. Not because of condition, but because of rarity, error combination, and shock factor. This is what makes the Lincoln Wheat Penny series so exciting. Even coins that look like they belong in the trash can hide secrets worth thousands of dollars. That black toning? That could be natural oxidation, and in rare cases, even a sign of early die testing or planchet flaws. Collectors are constantly on the hunt for coins like this. Oddities that break the rules, defy expectations, and tell a story. Because in numismatics, it's not always about shiny and perfect. Sometimes the rough ones, the dark ones, are where the real value lies. So if you come across an old 1956 D penny with a blackened surface, don't toss it, don't clean it. Grab a magnifier. Look for signs of doubling, cracks in Liberty, or weird blobs around the mint mark. Because the next time you do, you might be holding a coin worth $5,000 or more. We've just scratched the surface. 2 coins in, and we've already hit values close to $80,000. What's coming next? Let's just say the next coin shook the coin collecting world with a mint error so strange people thought it was fake, until it sold for nearly $500,000. Stick around and make sure you subscribe to Quarter Dollar if you haven't already. These stories aren't just about coins, they're about history, mystery, and maybe even a little fortune hiding in your change jar. And hey, if you're enjoying the video, consider buying me a coffee. It helps support the channel and keeps these wild stories coming. Now let's see what's waiting for us in the next coin. Next up is a 1948 Lincoln Wheat Penny, and at first glance, it's nothing special. It's scratched, it's dull, it's clearly been around the block a few hundred times. You can almost imagine this exact coin being handed over for a bottle of soda sometime in the early 60s. It's beat up, worn down, the kind of coin most people wouldn't give a second look. But here's the twist. This coin has one of the strangest and most valuable minting errors ever recorded in the Wheat Penny series. Let's start with the basics. This coin was minted just a few years after World War II, during a time when the U.S. Mint was under heavy pressure to produce clean, consistent coinage. The war had left the country in recovery mode, and steel cents had just been phased out a few years earlier. In 1948, over 317 million pennies were minted in Philadelphia alone, and this one likely came from that very batch. So why would anyone pay more than face value for it? Because some 1948 Lincoln Wheat Pennies were struck on foreign planchets. Blank coins meant for other countries. That's right. Due to post-war coin shortages and overlapping contracts, a small number of 1948 pennies were mistakenly struck on silver dime planchets, brass planchets, or even copper nickel planchets meant for foreign nations like Belgium or the Netherlands. When this happens, you get a penny that's slightly underweight, has a weird color, or shows a partial design due to size mismatch. Most people mistake it for damage or wear, but in reality, it's one of the rarest and most exciting minting blunders of the late 1940s. And even in scratched, circulated condition, these off-metal errors are fetching insane prices. One 1948 Lincoln cent, struck on a silver dime planchet, sold for $12,075 at auction, despite having heavy wear. Another with surface scratches but authenticated as a foreign planchet strike was recently sold for $18,400. And here's the kicker. The owner found it in an old jar, mistook it for junk, and nearly spent it at a vending machine. Now think about that. A coin that looks like it's been chewed up by time, scratched from pocket to pavement for 75 years, could secretly be a $20,000 anomaly. And there's more. Some 1948 wheat pennies also suffer from struck-through grease errors, where dirt or grease blocked parts of the design during minting, leaving missing letters or ghost-like details. Combine that with scratches and wear, and it's easy to dismiss it as damage, unless you know what to look for. Here's what to check. Grab a scale. A normal 1948 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If yours is under 2.9 grams, you might be dealing with an off-metal error. Then look at the rim. Is it fully struck, or does it look cut off or thinner than normal? That could mean it was struck on a smaller planchet. These clues, subtle as they are, can turn a penny that looks worthless into a five-figure jackpot. And this is why coin hunting never gets old, because every scratched, beat-up wheat penny could be a once-in-a-lifetime find in disguise. We've now uncovered 3 coins with hidden treasures. But the next one? Let's just say it comes from a year collectors obsess over. And it features a mint mark that doesn't belong, sending its value into the six-figure zone. But before we get to that, take a moment to support the channel by subscribing if you haven't already. And if you love what I do here, consider buying me a coffee. It really helps me keep sharing these amazing stories with you. All right? Ready to see the coin that broke all the rules? Next up, a 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny. At first glance, it looks like it's had a rough life. The surface is worn, the edges are soft, and many of the details are faded like an old photo left out in the sun. It's the kind of penny you'd expect to find stuck under a car mat or buried at the bottom of a change jar. Nothing special, or so it seems. But this date, 1958, is no ordinary year. In fact, it's the year that produced one of the most shocking mint errors in U.S. coin history. An error so rare, so unbelievable, that it caused collectors to question if it was even real. Until it sold for nearly $500,000. You're looking at the final year of the Lincoln Wheat Penny series. After this, the U.S. Mint transitioned to the Lincoln Memorial Reverse, which makes 1958 already significant. But here's where it gets thrilling. A tiny handful of 1958 pennies, and we're talking just 2 known examples, were minted in Philadelphia with a double die obverse. That means the words "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date 1958 all appear clearly doubled. Not slightly, but boldly, unmistakably, like a printing press slipped halfway through its job. Now imagine this. One of those pennies discovered in the late 1980s sat unnoticed for years in someone's old coin collection. When it was finally authenticated, it sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. And in 2018, it sold for a staggering $456,000 at auction. That's nearly $500,000 for a penny. Here's the wild part. No one knows how many more of these exist. It could be just 2, or 3, or maybe one is sitting in a dusty coin jar somewhere in rural America, hiding behind scratches and wear like the one we're looking at now. Even a worn-out 1958 penny could be worth a life-changing sum if it shows the signs of doubling. So, what should you look for? Start with the date. The 1, 9, 5, and 8 should look like they have a drop shadow or a ghost twin slightly offset. Then check the word Liberty. The doubled variety will have thick, layered letters with clear separation. And don't forget, In God We Trust. That's usually the clearest doubling of all. Here's the catch. In circulated condition, it can be hard to spot, but collectors have paid tens of thousands of dollars even for heavily worn examples, as long as the doubling is visible and the coin is authenticated by a grading service like PCGS. And that's not all. Some 1958 pennies also show die cracks, struck through grease errors, or even slight planchet flaws that can push their value into the $500 to $2,500 range even without the doubling, especially if the coin has a unique look or historical backstory. So the next time you come across a beat-up 1958 penny, don't toss it aside. Don't judge it by its worn surface. Take out a magnifying glass, look closely at the date and the lettering, and ask yourself, what if this is the one? Because in the world of coin collecting, even the ugliest coin can hide the most beautiful surprise. We're now 4 coins in, and we've already seen values from a few hundred to $500,000. But the final coin on our list? It's something truly bizarre. A Lincoln Wheat penny that was never supposed to exist, and yet somehow does. Stick around, and remember to subscribe to Quarter Dollar if you haven't already, because these stories are just getting crazier. And if you'd like to show your support for the time and research that goes into digging up these incredible finds, buy me a coffee. It really helps keep this channel going strong. All right, time for our grand finale. Get ready for a coin that made even veteran collectors gasp when it hit the auction block. Next up, the oldest and most mysterious coin on our list, a 1917 Lincoln Wheat penny. And let me tell you, it looks every bit its age. The details are extremely faded, like time itself has tried to erase it. Lincoln's face is soft and blurry, the words around the rim are barely legible, and the wheat stalks on the back have almost disappeared entirely. Most folks wouldn't even take a second look. They'd think, it's done, it's toast, it's worth a penny, maybe. But here's the thing, this coin, this beat-up old relic from over 100 years ago, it might just be worth a small fortune. Let me explain why. The year 1917 was early in the Wheat Penny series, just the 9th year of issue. But what makes this coin legendary isn't just its age, it's what happened at the Philadelphia and Denver mints during that time. Several batches of coins left the presses with a bizarre and incredibly rare double die obverse, just like the famous 1955 variety coin, but even scarcer. That means the "In God We Trust," Liberty, and the date 1917 show dramatic doubling. Thick layered letters, almost like a drop shadow stamped into metal. And here's the shocking part. This doubling is so rare that most collectors have never even seen one in person. It's often mistaken for wear, especially in faded coins just like this. So yes, even in extremely worn condition, a 1917 double-die Lincoln cent can sell for $2,000 to $5,000 if the doubling is confirmed. And if it's faint, if you can barely make it out under the scratches and fading, still worth hundreds. Now let's go further. There's one extremely rare 1917 D-era variety where the mintmark D was repunched, showing 2 separate impressions. Only a handful have ever surfaced, and in high-grade condition, one sold for $58,750 at auction. Even a damaged, faded example brought in nearly $9,500, simply because of its scarcity and historical value. Now take that and add in other possible mint errors, things like die cracks, lamination flaws, or even being struck on the wrong planchet. And you have the potential for a 6-figure monster hiding inside a coin that looks like it's ready for the scrapyard. And here's where things get emotional. This coin, it's been through everything. 2 world wars, the Great Depression. It may have passed through the hands of a soldier, a farmer, a factory worker, carried in pockets that saw the rise of cars, the fall of empires, and the dawn of the digital age. And now it's here, in front of you, faded, worn, forgotten, but maybe not worthless, because if it has just the right error, just the right twist of fate, this ghost of a coin could still be worth tens of thousands of dollars. And that's the magic of coin collecting. It's not just metal, it's mystery, it's history, It's the thrill of turning something ordinary into something life-changing. So don't toss that old coin just because it's ugly. Look closer, investigate, learn the signs, because one day you might uncover the one that stuns the world. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to Quarter Dollar and hitting that bell so you never miss the next wild discovery. And if you'd like to help keep the content flowing, I'd be honored if you'd buy me a coffee. It's a small way to support big stories like this. Thanks for watching. And remember, never underestimate a dirty old penny. It just might be worth more than gold.